Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Julia Balaz, and today I'm joined by Joyce van Nispen, our recently certified Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner, joining us from Netherlands. And so I'm so glad that Joyce can offer Galactic Astrology soul reading sessions, not only in English, but also in Dutch language. Is that right? Welcome,
That's
Joyce.
right. Yes, thank you.
How are you feeling today?
Very good. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Well, before every podcast, I take time to review the certification documents again, where each practitioner submits 3 practice clients and detailed overview of how the client session went. And my goodness, with some of these, and especially with your Joyce, I feel like I want to share it immediately with the public because the stories are so incredible, such high value of information coming through. And also with you, I feel such a high sense of integrity and just taking this work with such importance, making sure that the information you bring through is helpful, not damaging in any way, but really offering very high perspective, helping your clients understand the game of polarity, but from a peaceful, centered, high vibrational state. So I just felt truly inspired and really expanded in my own consciousness after reading your sessions. So there's really
Oh,
special here.
so
I'm really,
nice.
really grateful that you are guided to this work. And I'm really curious to learn your story about your connection to spirituality. When did you become aware of your maybe extrasensory perception? And when was it when you kind of actively said yes to this high?
Well, there was a big difference between all what you just said and actually saying yes. I don't remember much of my childhood memories or things like that. So it's more about from the age of 15, 16. Then it hit really, it was really bad. It was really frightening. I remember even when I was 19 and I was living with my boyfriend, and when he was not at home, I was actually on the couch with a knife. So afraid.
So terrified.
It was so scary. Yes.
And are you talking about the awareness of the invisible
Yes, there
world?
was something in the house. Yes, which was actually in the house. It was a very old house, and it was
Oh.
there for a very, very long time, and it wasn't friendly.
Mm.
So I know all about scary shit. And then after a while, I went traveling as well, and then it to Asia. And then it calmed down, so it was more in a quiet sense. And then my son was born, and then I had the choice because he could see, and I could choose either to deny it, although I saw it as well, or I could help him deal with it in a good manner for all, not only for me and the son, but also for the one who was still visiting or just had an accident or things like that. Yes. So then I decided to actually, get on with it. And the next thing that was my daughter, and I didn't understand anything from her. She was like a creature from a completely different, galaxy to me. I couldn't understand how she was behaving, why she was behaving that way. So I started to get into hand analysis, simply to understand her. And that opened a whole new world, because I was a bit like, okay, it's either good or it is wrong. Yeah, so I was a big time polarity. And that taught me I had the willingness to meet all different kind of clients from all different kind of perspectives, and actually seeing the other person, having a conversation, not about what it is, your status or everything, but exactly seeing it from their point of view. That helped me grow a lot.
Wow. I'm so happy that we have hand analysis coming to the podcast recording. I've been, curious about that since my teenage years. I had access to books that were showing some of it, and then it just kind of left my life. And now my curiosity is taking me back to it. So I'm so glad when I was looking at your website, seeing that you offer this as a service, not only to read, offer hand analysis, but also teach others how to learn that.
Yes, we have I'm not teaching the basic anymore because I've written the book now, so everybody can do that for themselves. Mm-hmm. But I really like students who've been doing it for a lot of years, and they are doing it for themselves, and we study and things like that. So yesterday, for instance, was at a class. There was one actual hybrid, hands of a hybrid from Zeta and human. You don't see that often, but it's like, oh, okay, this is not completely human.
How amazing that you are able to pick up on that. And
not only me. That is the good thing. That is other students are also like,
Oh my God, how exciting that really such traditional ancient modality as a palm reading is also evolving through the galactic awareness.
Yes.
Expansion. I want to dance right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's also good now because of the galactic. I can let other students know as well what the story is, what is happening, and things like that. So they're not scared or whatever. So in that way, they get to know this whole different spectrum of not just hands, but actually more information.
Oh, wonderful. Well, if we can go back a little to your experience with the unseen. When I look at your Galactic Astrology chart, it's interesting how this week you're the second certified practitioner with a Crux alignment and also the Algorab Corvus alignment, and another validation that these stars bring very strong psychic abilities and study of the occult subjects. Such a beautiful manifestation how you cannot not do it. Your life will simply take you there.
No, you will get thrown into it. Mm. And the good part for me was actually that when all the scary bit was done, it was okay.
Would you say when you stopped resisting it, it started becoming less and less scary? That there was a No. So what was the shift that helped you feel safer in the experience?
Well, that was actually it's a bit strange story, and I don't know.
Please do.
But there was I already was acquainted with my supreme guide. Yeah, so I was very much acquainted with him. And then all of a sudden, we got a visitor from somebody who left one of the houses. And in the middle of the night, he pretended to be, actually. He took the shape of my guide, and it wasn't him. And that was somebody who was trapped since the Second World War. So it was after that frightening bit, I decided to do it differently. And we had to go to our neighbors for a party, and the children were quite young. And I asked him, please look after my children. I give you the responsibility to look after my children. And he did. And then after that, I said, thank you so much. Are you willing to leave now? Can I help you in another way to leave Earth and let go of all that is holding you here? And he did. And the funny thing is, there was this clock in the room, in the kitchen, who had these eyes when it goes like this, and the eyes go like that. And as soon as he's left, the clock stopped.
Oh wow, goosebumps.
I think about 2 years later or something, they started again. So I said, okay, you just come and look. Yes. And then it stopped again.
Wow.
So actually, by giving him the trust, it changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful story. So the experiences that were really difficult and haunting, we are, just for the clarity of the viewers, you were tapping into the trapped spirits on the other side who were carrying very heavy, dense energy that you were picking up on, to the point of really
Yes,
being terrified because they themselves
really.
were likely
Yes,
stuck in that state. So,
yes,
mhm. And my
yes.
heart truly goes out to any child and teenager that is picking up on these energies and is not
Mhm.
believed by their environment, and they're really
Yes,
truly they don't know what to do. It's I look forward to our society evolving more and more for this to be more of an open conversation where we can
it
support
is
children from
it is
early
a
on in these
necessary
experiences.
one.
Mhm.
It is a very necessary one.
I can't
Yes,
wait for the day when we discuss these things in school setting, it,
yes,
how to handle these energetics. I really hope that will come within the next decade.
yes. And I think one of the most important things that learned me as well, it's not personal.
With
Yeah,
these,
they're simply lost. So I'm glad that I decided, well, to handle things and to teach my children as well.
really good.
Yeah.
So you discovered then palm artistry. Is that what it's called? Palm hand analysis. Okay. So you've discovered hand analysis.
Yes.
Did it help you to get a better understanding of your daughter as first?
Oh, very much. Every human has his own experiences, and based on that, it gets a view on how the world is working. But somebody else has a completely different experience. So they view the world in a completely different manner. And in the hands, you can actually very easy, almost after they're born, you can actually see what ingredients they have on their character, on how they perceive things. Yeah, that's very handy.
Amazing. That's so
Yeah.
great. Wonderful. One thing that captured my attention on your website with regards to that was that when a good palm reader can predict the way you die or when you die,
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
fact it's bogus because our everyday choices are shifting timelines constantly, and our lines change according to our decisions that we make, the free will,
Exactly.
the choices that we have.
Yes. The only thing that is permanent are the dermatoglyphs. So these on your fingers, and sometimes you find them, and that's why Scotland Yard and FBI want them as well,
Mm,
because these won't change. No, it's also the last thing when you die that will go away in the hands.
interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna,
there's nobody who has the same. It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
8 billion people, such a small space.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. And you have them on your feet as well, but I'm not really into feet.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
I'm excited to learn more by exploring your website and your offerings. Okay, so with that, is there other service or modality that you've explored after the palm analysis?
Well, before that, I also did tarot. At that time, I was really like hand analysis is something really you can touch, you can grip. It's there. There's no hocus pocus. So it's for me, it was important that people learned about themselves in that way. With tarot, we don't know how it works, so you can't explain that scientifically, or what happens happens. But after that, tarot came back. I was thinking about rituals and what I could give my daughter for a ritual for going into, womanhood, because we don't have any rituals anymore. And I knew she was really into everything with nature and things like that. So I thought, okay, then I need to do and look at witchcraft, which I was. Then I found a witch who was really down to earth, no hocus pocus, and we clicked very well. And then my mother joined as well. So then that became a part of learning and also teaching about the moon and nature and the cycles and all these kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful way to connect the three generations, yourself, your mother, and your daughter, and that she responded to it as well. Yes.
And the funny thing is, my daughter is now at university doing Celtic studies. So she's
beautiful.
yeah.
I wonder if any of her galactic astro alignments correspond to the connection to Druid. Yesterday, we talked about also the Crux the Corvus, and also Izar. So Corvus, Algorab star, and possibly Izar in Boots. The two of them, or one or the other, connects to the Druid lineage. So I wonder if your daughter has these in her chart.
Yes, probably. I have Corvus big time. The crows are, when I go outside.
Yes, very good. Okay. And then how did you come about when did astrology enter your life, and certainly the galactic astrology? What was that experience like?
Well, it was one and the same. Galactic and astrology was you. And the funny thing was, a friend of mine just messaged me like, "Oh, you need to see this." There was that interview with Pam, and I was like, "Okay, I will see it later." And then she again, "No, you need to see this." And I was walking in the park with my dog and while listening. And the funny thing was, I can't remember which star you were talking about with Pam, what at that time, but I was answering. And then I thought, that's strange, why I'm answering. So then I immediately, the next day, I hooked up.
Yes, I was, if that's true that you started with astrology recently, whether it's a year or so ago, you have done it in other lives, and you've done it to like a master full level, because what you delivered through the readings, from what I saw through your reports, it was so rich in terms of the astrological information, but really it felt like advanced astrologers reading. So
okay.
It's, you are picking up on something from before, and it just, that old saying about astrologers, when they say, how long do you study astrology? We should always say, how many lifetimes do you mean? Because it's not just current life. We really are picking up on previous. I certainly remembered my other astrologers' lives in my regression sessions, and I had my own experiences. And actually, when I recall them in my hypnotic experience when I was regressed, that was my last 7th QHHT session that I had just before I started writing the Galactic Astrology course. Remembering those lives as an astrologer, and mapping the sky and the uncharted lands, like writing maps and always looking for the unknown, that recall gave me permission to say yes to this path. I remember that day very distinctly. I actually cried tears of relief for that inner permission to be given, recognizing that actually I'm following the pattern from previous lifetimes, and I've got to do it, So I can certainly recognize through your reports the other lifetimes when you were offering some type of divination, because it just feels...
divination for sure. Yes. Yeah.
Very good. Well, is there anything else from your kind of life experience and spiritual journey that you would like to bring into this conversation before I go back to some of your galactic alignments that I wanted to bring through?
Okay. Well, the other thing is regression. I also did regression. I gave also regression sessions. And the first time I was acquainted with regression was when we as a family went to Indonesia for a couple of months, and my parents were joining as well. And I thought, I don't know why, but something is there with the combination of one of my sons and my father. And I need to find out what it is. No idea where it came from, because I don't want to have any hassle over there, because it probably was linked to Indonesia. So that was the first time and there was something there, and it's good that we discussed it. And then later, I really wanted to learn more about it, and I want to actually do it myself. But every time it was, no, it was not the time, was not the time. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine came with a book about Black Moon Lilith, and it was a Dutch writer. So, and what he wrote, I was fascinated. So I called him, and well, we had private sessions. I'm not very good in groups. I'm much better in private. And that was a very interesting journey as well, especially because I quickly noticed that normally, I don't know if it's with
QHHD
sessions as well, but people with going into a regression session, they normally go, okay, this is my problem and this is my problem. And that didn't work out. So what I needed to do was simply, okay, I have no idea what your problem is or whatever it is, but I don't know what to expect. Simply lay down and you will see or experience whatever your essence needs.
Yeah, QHHD premise is like that although the client has certain intentions, the practitioner doesn't actually lead them into certain experiences to resolve those things, but really surrender to higher self, deciding where they'll be taken and what will take priority for clearing and resolving. Yeah.
And that is the same way I do regressions as well. So, but that was completely different from QHHD. Yeah.
Very good that you're guided to that naturally. Beautiful. Well, when you found yourself diving into galactic astrology, how quickly did you realize that your mind really goes far and wide in terms of not just the planets and then the stars, but you have taken yourself on a journey even beyond that to other galaxies? So for the viewers, Joyce, many months ago, actually, sent me an email with a beautiful gift surprise of a PDF document in style of what I've prepared for certain selected stars for our community, but you have developed you have calculated astrological degrees of many messier objects, galaxies, nebulas, black holes that you were curious about. Like, did they start coming through client sessions where you felt that there was something else there, or you just wanted to have the data there in case it's coming up? How did that happen?
Well, it's happened because of I was looking at Hercules and Monoceros. I wrote to you about it as well, and how these two are linked. So I was on my journey about the Gemini, Monoceros, and Hercules, and Corona Borealis. Do I say it? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I was on my journey there, and there was there's one more linked to Gemini, which is Lynx. And there's nothing much about Lynx. So I was just looking at Lynx and what kind of object. And there was one, I think it was called the Intergalactic Traveler or something like that. I thought, what? So then I wanted to find out, okay, what are the coordinates of that? And that kept me going, like, I want to know all of these. Yeah, so Lynx has brought me there. Yeah.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
So you then beautifully incorporated some of these less known and studied objects into your clients' readings, or at least the 3 sample reports that you sent me. There were galaxies that I've never seen others talk about, and quite incredible stories came through that deeply resonated with your clients. There was beautiful validation and through their everyday life experience. So I just feel so excited when we connect with you, Joyce.
And it's more and more coming up. Some of them hardly have any known for us. For me, it's also every time it's a completely new journey, and it also depends on the client and the essence and their essence on how things are shown. So yesterday I was working on a Galactic Astrology result, and there was hardly any alignments except for Pleiades and things like that. But they were telling me that she is a hybrid, but not. This is her first Earth experience, and all the others were from completely different galaxies. And they showed me the information not in a way like I normally just experience it, but these were more like into symbols, and it was felt in my body. So I was shown symbols. So every time it's a completely new experience.
I love it. Well, I think it's such a beautiful manifestation, your expanded states of experiences as you're tapping into cosmos through your clients' soul records and their galactic charts. The fact that your Mercury is conjunct Shapley Attractor very tightly. So you have Mercury in Scorpio, and you also have Neptune in Scorpio in 12th house, conjunct Alpha Centauri star, our very close neighbor, but really the Shapley Attractor, Mercury Scorpio in 10th house, I think has fingers in why you are able to bring through information out of thin air, unheard before. It's like this is what black holes are like, and certainly Shapley Attractor. So
yeah, it's the exciting thing as well, I think, is we work with a lot of. It's very good that we know. Okay, this system has certain kind of traits. Yeah, like Pleiadian have traits, and Alpha Centauri has traits, and things like that. On the other side, I think what I am called to is not to have certain traits and just be completely open to the other galaxy of all the different experiences that they are. So there's no definition yet. You understand what I'm saying?
100%, yes. And we continue to say that more and more so because it really opens us up to new information that is so ready to come through. So one more kind of validation to why you are wired this way. What you just said there is your Uranus in Libra in the 9th house conjunct supergalactic center, which is all about, again, another black hole, and Uranus, which is there are no limits to what can happen. And in the 9th house, like new horizons, it's right there. And of course, you have actually a few other conjunctions to really powerful stars too. So absolutely, I love that. Just today, somebody sent me a snippet from a recording I did with Elena Danan. I think that was the last video we did together, where we just talked about how we are seeing souls coming not just from other star systems, but truly from many other galaxies. And she was saying that's the message that she continues getting. So it's beautiful to see how we are very quickly accelerating our ability to tap into these other worlds and bring the information through and somehow relate it to our current experience. Because people who come to the Quantum Soul Guidance practitioners, and that's the type of information they receive, they've got to be ready to receive something like that. And if it's not meant to come through yet, then it will not. There'll be information from more kind of closer stars or past lives on Earth that'll come through. That's kind of the beauty of the Quantum Soul Guidance, where there's something higher, of higher intelligence that guides us to what's most important at this time.
Yes. And as long as we stay open, anything is possible. And what I learned or was reminded of is we always have, like the humans, if we don't know it, our mind tries to, translate it in what we find acceptable or don't try to translate it. Just tell what you saw, what was happening, where you felt it. So don't make something for yourself to try to, the client will understand.
Mm.
They will.
Yeah, that's the challenge of our human language. It will be so amazing when we can start communicating telepathically through the entire field, passing the information that is really quantum. That would just be so much easier, because we are really degrading it when we are trying to bring it into language, because it's so much richer. Yeah.
Yeah, language is the most difficult thing to communicate.
Yeah. So actually, one more really beautiful point that you kind of are bringing through here is for practitioners, or for people who are curious or intrigued by galactic astrology, but they really feel like, oh my God, there's so much information that they need to know. But in fact, if they can surrender and rather focus on developing their beautiful intuitive skills and really tapping to that divine intelligence inside their being and just starting to practice that way, it'll prove to be much more rich and powerful, and really unique new stories can start coming through, rather than us repeating same old versions of polarity games in other star systems and how it went out. I feel we are really called to develop beyond
eventually that. What they all are, and what we are as well, simply stories. And we know Earth is transitioning, so we are transitioning as well. So you better go with the flow and not repeating the same old story.
Yeah. And I feel the beauty of the magic that happens also in the interaction between the practitioner and a client is, the practitioner tapping to their frequency for many hours. And in your case, during your practice sessions, you actually happened to spontaneously take several days, and you did it in portions. Yes. So there's really a lot of energetic investment where we allow the guides and the records to speak to us. We really pay attention, because I think the biggest problem with the spirit guides trying to guide us is that we don't listen. We don't take time out of our day to pay attention to what is wanting to come true, whereas the practitioners do that for you. I love that, the amount of time and energy that goes into it, because really, really rich messages can come true.
I see it as that every client that you have, or actually everything that is going on in your daily life and whoever you meet, is there for a purpose, whether it be you helping them, but they also, every client has something for you to remember as well. So it's a co-creation.
Yes, beautifully said. In terms of your galactic astrology sessions, do you offer different types? Would you like to talk a little bit about what can people expect? What type of session? Is it written, in person, Zoom calls? Tell us more about that.
It's a Zoom call. It's a Zoom call, and you get the written report with it. So that's it. What galactic astrology, when I was trying to get a grip of it, I just went on looking for myself, just calculating every star that I could find for myself, which allowed me to recognize them. I'm all of it. And when you're all of it, everybody is all of it, then it's much easier to not identify oneself with certain kinds of, and that's really, really helpful. So actually, I do a normal session, and it takes me 4 days, will be €400. And if you want all that is, well, then you're going to pay big times. But I can offer that as well.
Amazing. Yeah, that's the black hole where it's like, bring it on.
Yeah, want to go down the rabbit hole.
The curiosity is just really thirsty. Yeah. Your ascendant also is conjunct Antares, the royal star. Let's see, you've Jupiter in your 10th house conjunct Arcturus. Another beautiful, strong connection. So there are so many gems inside your.
There's a lot of. I could see a lot of themes playing out, because I have a lot of in the 10th house, which also made a lot of sense, because sometimes I feel more like more male hormones than female hormones.
Masculine way. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was more in a masculine, and I needed to learn about female. And in the journey that I took, not only here, but we saw it back also with Agol and everything. All my own regressions I had was all about that. I didn't have much respect for, even though I was a woman in all these lives, I didn't have much respect for women at all. No.
It was that cycle of strong masculine frequency on Earth, and
yes,
seem to have lived that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting thing as well. Yeah.
Very good. Great how you come back to your wholeness through contrast. There was more than one book written and published by you, where both of them focused on palm reading, hands analysis.
No. And the first book is about witchcraft in a very simple, and it has phases of the moon, and tarot is in it as well. But it's actually a practical learning book.
Was it intended to be something that your daughter can use? Was it kind of written for that reason, or what was your inspiration?
She knows it as well. No, I was asked to write it, and I didn't want to write it. So this was in November 2019, and then my husband died on the 1st of January on 2020, and then Corona came. So then the first thing I did after my husband died was said, okay, and I didn't know that Corona was coming, but I was said, okay, I'll write the book. So later on, I know why I did it, because I wanted people to get more in touch with nature and with themselves, and so that was why. And then I also, by the same publisher, was a moon calendar with a lot of tarot and everything in it. And the latest is hand analysis, which is what came out in July.
Very good. So the book contains the kind of basics, really, for someone who wants to start and learn all of the basics.
Very practical. Yes, if you can learn that, if you do that, it's very practical. It's only in Dutch. Sorry, it was a Dutch publisher, not an English one.
For now, anyway.
Yeah.
And then you offer courses. Is it only in person, where people can do like more advanced looking at the hands? I've noticed you do courses.
Hand analysis, I only do the advanced ones. I don't do live basic, because they have the book.
Yeah.
Yes, and I do also tarot, but these are the only lessons I give in basics are tarot.
Gotcha.
That's the only basic, and that goes further and further and further.
Very good. Would it be okay with you if I shared your website so we can take a quick glance?
It's in Dutch, and I haven't put anything different.
That's okay. Actually, Google Translator, like there is this thing where my browser asks me if I want to translate everything into English, and everything is perfect in English on your website. So when people go to joycevannispen.nl for Netherlands, then you can see, if you click into automatic translation, you can see the consultations and courses, retreats, about you, and all these things. And I just love the style of your website too. It's very easy to navigate, and the design, all of it is really well put together. There's
a lot on it which I don't do anymore.
Oh,
like I don't do any. Yeah, it's been written in 2018, but I don't do any retreats anymore. Okay. I don't do any lessons about courses about the moon anymore.
Okay.
So Galactic isn't on it yet.
So if people want to book their session, it's ideally to email you, and then you liaise about the availability and the prices and things like that. Perfect.
Because I want to have a sense of.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to include, whether about you, about your readings, maybe a vision or message that you have for the viewers or current times before we close?
what I discovered in tarot, you also have like the esoteric titles, which nothing is written about it, just the names of the titles. I think it is important that people can relate to what is actually going on, to see that they have created this, whether it's something pleasant or you experience it as something unpleasant. When we take the responsibility for that, we have created it. It also means we can make a different choice. So to see what is happening and why, ask yourself why you have created this. I'm not really good about so we got this part out, Julia. Do you know what I mean?
Important message. I totally understand it and resonate with it. And I was tapping into the people that say, hang on a minute.
Yes, yeah.
I think you can absolutely say that. I would say it'll be better received with taking personal responsibility for how we perceive things or how we respond to what presents itself. Yeah.
It's also about responding instead of reacting.
Yes.
So
it can be said often enough.
Yes, it's all about responding.
Yeah.
What everybody has its own perspective about things. I saw a video which made me really laugh, which was about a school video, and there were these boxes, and then you have like a square goes in the square, and a long one goes in the long one, and a round goes in the round. And that is what we do. This is the round, this is the square one, and actually everything fits in the square, depending on how you rotate it. And somebody was watching that, goes like, okay, yeah, this is going into the round one, and it goes, very well, it goes in the square. So, and we all get like hyper from it. No, it needs to go there. Well, if you know, the mechanism is the square. Everything fits in the square. So it's not about how you perceive it. Everybody else can perceive it differently. Doesn't mean we have to do that. It fits in the square.
Like the ultimate reality. Yeah.
That is the ultimate reality. Yes.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it kind of ties in Dolores Cannon's often repeated message that she was getting through her clients' regression sessions, that don't take it all so seriously. There is
no.
It's a game. It's a play.
It is. It's a game. And another thing is also like the way I see in 3D, we see it as past lives. But everything is happening now, in this now moment. And we look at it if there's a past and a present and a future. But it's only the present. And I know it is difficult for people for human brain to get a grasp on that.
Yeah, I believe that people who did not experience a regressed state where their brain goes consciously into theta frequency or theta brainwave state, if you don't experience it in real, like, awake consciousness, it's like impossible to imagine what it is like to perceive past, present, and future simultaneously. But once you experience that altered state of consciousness in an awake state, then it's like, yeah, of course, it's just like, that's the way it is.
But it's also important to understand that you can change anything you want in the now, not tomorrow, not next week. No, you can do it now, if that's what you really want.
Yes, I wholeheartedly believe that. The thing is, then they're getting rid of the objections or blocks to it, or things that we're holding on to that are not letting us. So,
no, but it's nothing is letting us. We allow it not to.
Yeah, that absolutely.
So it's important. Why do we keep holding on? And that is one other thing. But for me, was also important was to see that we define ourselves by roles. So it's not only the roles we have, but it's also the identification with them. And we identify also with the stories. So my Galactic Astrology, I really try to explain as well, these are stories you brought with you. Please don't identify with them. And it's
nice. I like that. Very good. Yeah. This year for me was really strong about releasing them, releasing those identities and attachments. And it feels so much better, so much lighter, especially the eclipses. They really brought that up.
It was a tough year.
Powerful message. Thank you for bringing that in.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit.
I'm really curious how the Pluto in Aquarius will feel. We got glimpses of it, and I just feel really light and excited about the many more expansions and possibilities, and certainly doing it together as a community just feels really magical. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for your love.
It's not mine. It's not mine. It's not mine.
I hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure. I'll look forward to staying connected, and I hope you will be able to find time every now and then to share with us the discoveries that are coming through you, because truly, having the black holes operating while you are taking time to look at people's charts and soul records and astrology, like I would love to continue hearing more of your discoveries whenever you will get something exciting, strange, and wonderful. Please.
Yeah, and I'm also reluctant to do that. Simply because they are teaching us not to define it as much. They are teaching us to let go of certain ways.
Yeah, this is what I'm noticing, and the hints that I'm getting lately, that I find myself, once I share something, it's like it's a passing and it's no longer truth, because we are moving so fast.
Exactly.
That sense is becoming really strong. Mm-hmm.
It's information for that particular client at that particular moment in that particular time. That's it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if I go, oh, this galaxy that far away, I go, oh, but the other one had, no. Could be something completely different.
Yeah, actually what we are doing here is, if we think about it, Earth with 8 billion people, we are tuning into one person's fragment of their entire life journey, and then we would label, if we were outside of Earth, we would label that, okay, this is the Earth story. It's so silly. It's so silly.
It is quite silly. So it's also, but if they teach us to let go of certain stories, that is what we are taught now on Earth as well. So the reason why we're more connecting now, we're getting more clients with galaxies and black holes. Yeah, this is Earth. Earth is like a mother, but it's the same as a mother. She's a black hole as well.
I'm so glad that we can bring this into the conversation, and I hope people who manage to watch till the end, they will know that as a community, as the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioners, this is something that is becoming more and more obvious to us. So that when you are hearing the videos that I share on, for example, Galactic Astrology YouTube channel, we share certain representations of star systems. I started putting in the title that it's a perspective of this person based on their experiences, so that we don't really hold on to them too tightly, and really, as you said, rather approach, when you tune into your soul records or any star system, any location in cosmos, approach it as a blank canvas and let the magic happen in your direct experience with it. Let it be unique for you.
Yes. Yeah. And for me, essence is always not even looking at the alignments. Of course, I look at the alignments because getting a certain feeling from it. But I let essence decide which one they need. And sometimes I have to go to certain websites with just numbers of deep space. And just go, this one. And it's amazing. It's so thrilling that you can actually, when calculated, that you can see, oh, yes, of course.
There. For the viewers who might not know what we are talking about when you say essence, it's part of the Quantum Soul Guidance process is looking at the soul essence. What is the frequency before we start adding all the labels of where the soul went and what they experienced? So we tune in either through color or other sensations based on the extrasensory models. And another new experience that I've witnessed through you was that you were guided to look at the essence from different perspectives in space. So what will the hue be like through colors if you look at that soul through the sun, or from the sun's perspective, or from black hole's perspective?
Yeah.
And that was showing
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, that was also funny. Yeah. So I see it every time as something, oh, well, show me. I will see what's happening, and try not to get my physical head too involved to try to understand it. Yes.
Beautiful, including all perspectives.
And let it go after it.
That too. What a gift. Thank you so much, Joyce. It's such a pleasure connecting with you. I hope the conversation will serve our viewers and that they'll feel inspired to connect with you. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank
Much
you.
love. Bye.
Much love. Bye.